What is up, Sooner fans? Welcome back to the Sooner Surge. Happy Monday. It is Monday, and it was a busy day for Sooner Nation today as they get a commitment today for football. We'll get right to that here in a little bit, but before we do, make sure you go to the fanstop.com. When you do, there's the link. You can click on the links in the description of this video. Order your national championship shirts. They got the four-piece shirt as well as the national championship crimson shirt. Officially licensed. Go check them out. Go order yours tonight. Appreciate it. Hey, Hunter, busy day today. You have the news. Obviously, Canady is official in the portal. I know a lot of people want to talk about that. It's been kind of the hot topic. But also out of nowhere today, OU gets a commit in Marcus Harris out of Mater Dei, which is huge, Greg, for the pipeline in Mater Dei. If you saw Todd Bates' tweet after that, he mentioned the pipeline may be open up to Mater Dei, which would be huge. And this commit, I saw the same thing where people were like, well, what can you say well about Marcus Harris? His top five was Alabama, Oregon, Texas, Tennessee, and Georgia. And he surprise visit Oklahoma and then commits 2 days later. It's a huge get for Oklahoma.
Massive get. And Greg, I mentioned in the Mater Dei pipeline. I mean, Mater Dei finished the year last year, 23 season, ranked as the number 3 team in the country, according to Max Prep. So one of the most elite high schools out there. I mean, you look at the NFL talent they have produced over the years. OU really hasn't had anybody from them since Chris Murray transferring from UCLA. He went to Mater Dei. Jeremiah Cradell also went to Mater Dei, but that obviously didn't work out because of injuries. That kind of halted his career. Now he's in the coaching game. So, yeah, if Oklahoma were to be able to establish some sort of a pipeline back into that California area, but to really center in on the Mater Dei high school, that's big news for years to come because, I mean, you look at the top 200 right now, they have 7 players in the top 200 for the class of 25. They have their number 1 prospect in the class of 26 and another top 40 guy in that class. So it is one of the best high school recruiting high schools in the country.
Yeah, huge pipeline. That's a big deal for Jalen Redmond, Graveyard. You're right. Huge get for Oklahoma. And I don't think you can talk about Emmett Jones enough. I mean, really. And we talked about this at the end of last night's show about first and last visits. Well, this wasn't a first visit, but they got him before he goes to the Texas visit, which was this weekend. He canceled that visit and committed to Oklahoma. That's huge. I mean, that's massive. And we may get to the Texas stuff a little bit later. If anybody saw Steve Sarkeesian with Joel Klatt, I kind of want to touch on that at the end of this live tonight because the video was kind of wild in my opinion. But we'll touch on that later. Also, Michael Fasusi canceled his Oregon visit, said he's moving it. So we'll see. Is he moving it to make another visit? That'll be interesting. You also have
Elijah. I wonder how long.
What's that?
I wonder how long it takes him to announce his next visit for Oregon, or if it's something that's. I think if it goes longer than a couple weeks, rescheduled, then that's probably a good thing on the OU side of things. But
I agree, and then also. Still wait. Maybe the flip season with Elijah Melendez out of Miami. I think we've still kind of talked about that a little bit. People talking about softball here. Canady. Have not heard on those 3 names about visits. I would assume visits are this week. And just listening to Patty and hear her talk. So those 3 names you mentioned there, very possible could be visiting any second. So I did see rumors today about Canady being in normal. Hey, there's so many rumors out there on the Canady situation. You guys need to believe that with a grain of salt, okay? I'm just saying. You're going to see so much stuff on this, on Canady, that and I would be shocked if she commits somewhere right away. Wouldn't you, Hunter?
I agree. I think multiple visits are going to be
She's going to at
taken.
least visit a few schools, I think.
Yes, I think probably multiple schools at the minimum. I mean, maybe even up to 5. Who knows? Bobby, 100% correct on this. Brian Hartline, one of the best, but I mean, Emmett Jones is really only a few years into the college coaching world, and I mean, look at the 2 recruiting classes he's put together so far in Oklahoma.
Yeah, those are 1, 2, and receiver coaches, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you can argue also with the development. They develop players right now. Richard, yeah, right there in Topeka. And I mean, you can read into so much on Twitter, Hunter. I mean, you saw the Nebraska coach today say it's a great day to be a Husker, and then all the replies in there. Oh my gosh, Cannady's coming to Nebraska. I mean, there is so much
I
stuff
think
out
that
there.
is going to be every tweet from every head coach
cryptic
for the
tweet.
next however long it takes for NiJaree Canady to make a decision. I mean, that's how fan bases are going to be reacting on Twitter.
Yeah, and T, I'm with you. You got some big recruiting weekends, the barbecue weekend. They got 16 commits right now for 2025. And they're going to get a few more pretty soon, I think. And I tell you a name to watch. And we talked about this a little bit today off air, but I think Jaden O'Neal might pop pretty quick. I just the way the commits are happening, Texas gets the commit today from 2026 quarterback. I think maybe Jaden O'Neal might commit sooner rather than later. That's the feeling.
The number 2 quarterback in the class committed to
Yes.
Texas, Jaden O'Neal, number 3. So, yeah, I think it would be, like Bobby says, a month or so.
Yeah, Corinna's asking, when is the time up for visits and then announcing they're committing to their new school? Hunter, I don't know if you know as far as committing, and it's got to be just for the enrolling part, right?
That's my understanding of
so you have time.
This is you have to be able to enroll in school. I don't think anyone's going to want to wait till the day before because, I mean, you have to have a place to live. You got to be able to move your stuff across the country to your new school. So I think it's going to be probably through the end of July for most players when you can make a decision on where you're going.
Hey, real quick, Gray God. I will say this I can't pronounce his name, but the linebacker, Jaden O'Neal transferred to his school this year. So they are playing together in high school. I think very good possibility OU lands him. I don't know what Bobby's here. I think there's a real good. I don't think there's just smoke there. I think there's fire there. And especially with them being teammates now, I think there's a good chance. Fasusi update, all we know is he canceled his Oregon visit that was this weekend. He's moving it. It's funny. He said, I canceled my visit, but I'm moving it. It didn't say I canceled it completely. So is he – I mean, who knows where he's going to – I mean, there's no limit on visits anymore. Right?
Correct. There's not.
So that's a big deal. I don't think people talk about that.
Yeah, it's one official visit per school. That's the new limit to it.
Official. So. Hey, John, real quick. Let me just say, I'm going to play a little devil's advocate here. Why would she go to Nebraska? Let me answer as going against you here, and I'm going to say this. She'd go to Nebraska because they have Jordy Ball, 1-2 punch. She would go to Nebraska. It's close to her hometown. She would go to Nebraska because they picked up some bats out of the portal. That would be my 3 reasons why. Okay. Now, are there a lot better teams to go to than Nebraska? Sure. I mean, there's other options. I'm just saying there are reasons that she could go there. But I'm not going to speak for Canady. I don't know what Canady's thinking. I don't know where her mind's at. I don't know where she wants to go and why she wants to go there. I don't know if this is an NIL. I don't know if it's for playing the game. If it's, I have no clue. So I can't answer that. That was just some reasons to think maybe she would consider it, right?
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think Nebraska is probably hosting a regional next year, if not maybe even more. I mean, looking at what they put together so far in the transfer class, they're getting some offensive help, some more pitching help for Jordy Ball, and they're going to have a healthy Jordy Ball next season. So
If you had to do
I
top four odds on favorites, I'm not going to do lines or anything, but if you had to pick the top four, who would you say?
wait for who? For what? Like
For Canady, the four schools, you think the top four that you would pick as like the favorites. I'm not saying you. I'm just saying who do you think the favorites are? I think OU, Texas are there.
I think it's going to be 4 SEC schools with probably OU and Texas included in that.
Yeah.
So maybe Florida and Tennessee.
Yeah. Who knows? What about A&M?
Yeah, that's another one.
I mean, nobody knows though. That's the thing, Hunter. Nobody knows. And I think it's funny. Of course, the people that are going nuts about OU and stuff. And listen, the ones that complain, I think you have to get this out of your head, fans. You have to get it out of your head to get mad at players for going after NIL. Okay, I think you have to. That is the age we're living in. And if you're in college for 4 years and you're trying to maximize the profit for yourself, I can't be mad at a player for doing it. Now, there's not all players do it for NIL, but for the ones that do, I think they get a lot of heat. Well, they're just doing it for money. Well, some people are. Some people aren't though. But I think the attitude towards them a lot of time is, I can't believe that. That's just for just for money. Well, if you can get paid a lot more money playing somewhere else and still play the game you love, I don't know. I just think there's a lot of heat sometimes, and there shouldn't be. It is the world we're living in. It's not going to change.
Yeah, I agree, Jay. And I mean, no one really knows if that's a situation with
No, I'm not speaking on Canady. I just saw a lot of that on Twitter.
Yeah. But it's softball especially. I mean, the professional league is still is it going to be a success? Is it going to be sustainable where they can
You're going to make more in college?
Exactly. Like you have to. I mean, part of it right now is maximizing your revenue. I mean, seriously. I like what the Athletes Unlimited is doing. They got that ESPN deal for their league. Oklahoma City Spark is doing pretty well. I mean, their season, they're going to start playing in a few weeks at Oklahoma City. But, I mean, other than that, there's really not a league. I mean, even WNBA, I mean, women's basketball players were making more money than they are in the WNBA. So you got to maximize your revenue at this point.
Yeah, and Uncle Charlie, this isn't talked about enough, but the Stanford travel issue and trying to do all your homework and everything, that's a real deal. I mean, where they're going to be playing next year is all over. So I think
I'm curious to see how teams try to manage that. Like the classwork side of it. Like it's difficult. And I mean, it's just, I think a lot of it goes at fault to the Pac-12, like with the way everything's driven by TV contracts. You have to be able to adapt, and they kind of just refuse to do so. And now you have all those California and West Coast teams going to the ACC. It's crazy.
Yeah, Ron says, does OU softball make any money? I'm not behind the scenes of the financials. I would think they do, how much they sell out, but they just did build a new stadium, which cost money, but they had some good donations for that. I don't know. I can't tell you. All I know is if you're talking NIL for softball, OU's got to be up there at the top, I would think, right? Have to be. They're just
I mean, I would assume so. Yes. I mean, that should be the case when you've won 4 straight national championships, but don't know that for a fact. I'm not sure on legitimate NIL numbers for softball.
Now, Sooner fan says he knows for a fact they don't make money. I don't know what Sooner fan knows, but that's what he said. Mess says if Canady doesn't choose to play for Natty Patty, then she isn't someone to worry about down the road. Hey, I promise you, if she's not on OU's team next year, she's probably going to be on a pretty good team because she's not leaving Stanford to go to a team that doesn't have enough bats to help her out. That's
Hey,
got to be a reason why.
yeah, real quick, Sooner fan, they're talking about Sooner fan, Bobby, Ron, they're all talking about the revenue side of it for the university, Jay, not individual athletes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. I mean, yeah, I mean, football's the big dog. They bring in the money. That's the way in a lot of schools that brings in the money for all sports. I mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit the other day. Well, yeah, correct. Only football, the bombs. I think they're all talking about revenue here, Hunter. Yeah, that's probably right, Mess. I would agree with that. What was I going to get to? Yeah, CJ, I do think that's a really high possibility there. And I think she would be an outstanding player for Oklahoma. So I do think it's funny. A lot of times people talk about OU and who they get in the portal, but they don't talk about who they lose. I mean, they lost Jordy Ball, they lost Jocelyn Erickson. So it's not like they're not losing a few really good players too. So, but you watch if she ends up coming to OU, the national, and we got into this the other day, and people were kind of coming at me, and I don't get it. The national attitude and hate towards OU would be very high. And I don't know why people think that's not true. It is true. I promise you. If OU and Canady, all you're gonna hear about it's bad for softball. I can't believe OU. It's an evil empire. You will hear it.
The national hate was bad with like Hope Trotwine a few years ago. It was pretty bad with Alex Staraka when she transferred from Michigan to OU. And then this last year with Kelly Maxwell transferring from Oklahoma State to OU. I mean, now you're talking about the National Player of the Year, the hands down best pitcher in the country, a sub-1 ERA, a pitcher who faced OU last year and in game 1 of the World Series only allowed 1 run. It would be, a very big anti-OU national narrative.
Chuck, the reason I'm asking, am I right? Because I don't know. That's why I said that. I don't know the revenue and how much money every sport makes. So that's why I said that. I mean, if somebody knows that, that'd be great. They could drop it in here. But hey, I remember when Baylor was trying to shut down the basketball program. Chief, do you remember that? They were bad in all sports, football, and they were wanting them to leave the Big 12. They were running the Big 12. They were bad. And now look at it. So who knows? Maybe OU can turn into the Baylor of basketball.
Man, that would be
probably not. Probably not
massive, but I don't think that there's any chance of that happening.
What's up, Trap on here? Come on, guys, get off the sideline and hit that like button. That's right, Trap. Appreciate you. Hey, I know it's all good. Hey, Gary says last year, Grace Lines was the top Sooner NIL evaluation at $57K. I don't know the numbers. All I know is I do think NIL softball Oklahoma is at one of the top few for sure. So, and they are. I mean, they're the most popular team in sport, whether you love them or hate them. They are. Go look at the games they play on the road. I mean, OU fans travel and they're big time. So, yeah, Moser on the phone with Canady. I don't know where she ends up, guys. I don't know, Hunter. I don't really want to speculate either.
It's way too early to tell.
I think it is too.
I mean, it's official. It became official that she's entered today at about 12:30 Central Time. Still no statement from her directly. Like it's way too early. No.
And watch because I do expect Go Boomer tweets this week because I think there's a couple of other players that are probably going to commit this week. And you watch the very first Go Boomer, everybody's going to be saying, that's Canady. That's Canady. That's Canady. I mean, just watch. That's just like the Nebraska coach did a day, putting it's a great day to be a Husker. The replies were all Canady. So Hey, switching gears to football for a minute. 16 commits for the 25 class. How many more? 6, 7? What are you thinking? I think about 7. I think 23.
Yeah, maybe 21, 22. I don't know. Maybe they go 25. I really, I don't know. Maybe one more wide receiver. And I think a lot of it depends on the 5 stars. I mean,
Yeah. Who's the
what route?
next 5-star? Chuck says. Who is it? Do you think Fasusi, Jonah Williams, any of those two?
I think if you're gonna go out of those two, Jonah Williams is the better chance. But I mean, haven't heard a lot about him since
No, it's been
kind of that
quiet.
wave of crystal balls back in what, January or so. But
Yeah.
2 sport guys, so Skip Johnson, Reggie Willits will be involved in that recruitment as well.
Yeah, and there's a good chance, Bob, maybe they don't land any of those two. This is an interesting topic. I think the transfer portal sucks and is bad for college sports. RJ Young is wrong. I don't love the portal with NIL. I don't love it. I don't like the combo of it. But I think if there were limits on the portal, it would be better. I would be okay with it. I think there's got to be some parameters on both. Because right now, just the fact that you can jump in the portal and go make more money somewhere else, I think that combined with NIL makes it kind of a mess.
Yeah, it's just hard to go back from that. I mean, once you go to where it's now unlimited transfers, how can you kind
Why
of go?
can't you go to transfer one time?
But how do you go backwards with it? It
I
just
don't know. I'm just saying.
exactly like I'm not disagreeing with you, Jay. It's just how do you when they kind of overstepped multiple times? It's hard to then go backwards. I mean, you've kind
Yeah.
of seen it from the get go with NIL with how, I mean, from really early on, it was pretty evident that this is not name, image, likeness. This isn't TV commercials, radio commercials, selling merch. This
Yeah.
is kind of pay to play with the hands of the collectives, and to go back for it is uh, difficult, and they haven't done it. Real quick of what Uncle Charlie was asking. Technically speaking, if you are following the rules of compliance, you are not allowed to have any sort of communication with a player until they are officially in the NCAA transfer portal.
And
That
I
is
saw a lot of people today talking about that. Oh, Canady may commit today. I'm like, not happening.
well, and I mean, Colin dropped it in here a few times. She didn't enter with the do not contact.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
I mean, I don't know why some people think it's going to be instant. I would be absolutely shocked if a decision was made, really, even in the next week.
Hey, I'm with you, Chuck. I think a lot of us would, and that's why I do think the portals. I do think the portal is good if there's parameters with it. That's my thing.
Yeah, it's just hard to. Again, it's hard to go back. I mean, you look at there's a lot of legal rulings right now. It's not going the NCAA's way. It seems like every sort of lawsuit they are in, it just keeps getting farther and farther and farther along. I mean, now you're going to revenue sharing uh, in the near future, possibly. So with the portal, I would be shocked if they ever get it back to a one-time transfer or even to a grad transfer only.
Well, and I think here's the thing: now that you can get paid for it, what you're going to limit a kid from making more money? That's the issue. Then they'll be like, well, you're limiting me from making more money. So I think you have an issue there. It's just like if I wanted to switch jobs 4 years in a row and make more money every year, I could do it. I know they're not jobs right now, but they are getting paid. What was this? Sooner Cowboys. I think Fasusi is close to committing. Interesting. Here's the thing. It looked like he had a great visit, but who doesn't have a good visit? I've never seen a player tweet out that they had a bad visit. It doesn't happen. So I'm refusing to get so caught up into that recruitment. I just am. I don't want to get so, I guess, hyped up that OU's going to land him and then not. You know what I mean? I've been hurt too many times.
Well, that's 5-star recruitments for you.
It is.
I mean, they're never going to be cut dry, quick, and easy. I mean, they're going to drag out.
Corinne has asked us a few times. Let's get to any news on who's visiting for softball, also who is hosting them since it's summertime. I can't really answer the first one for you because I'm not there. And I don't really want to speculate, but I mean, I think there's a good possibility a middle infielder. I've been pretty open about Kaylee Wyckoff. I think that's a very good option. Riley Holtorf's another one. But I don't know for sure of anything. And as far as who hosts them, they got a whole plethora of a team that when they come in for these visits, that's ready. So, anything you want to add to that, Hunter?
No, I think you summed it up pretty well. I mean, it's going to be kind of the normal recruiting visit type thing. I mean, I know they have some camps going on this summer. I mean, pretty much a lot of players, staff, they're all still in Norman. It's not like they leave for the summer. The only thing different of if you're looking at a transfer versus a recruit is they're not going to a football game because it's over the summer. But other than that, I think it's going to be your normal recruiting visit.
Yeah, and there was a freshman pitcher from South Carolina that entered the portal today. And I think she'd be pretty good too. Hey, John, tell me what I'm wrong on. I'd like to know. Are you talking about because I said it would keep them from making more money? I'm wrong a lot, John. Believe me, I am wrong so much it's unbelievable. Just ask Jeremy. I'm wrong a lot. So I have no problem saying I'm wrong. I would just like to know what I'm wrong on so I can clear it up because I probably am wrong on things, but what am I wrong on, John? Drop it in the comment for me. That way I know. Bobby says, I think he's talking to Gray God. Jen says that's exactly what the court said. You can't limit one from making more income. If the money wasn't involved, I think the courts would have ruled with the NCAA. That's kind of what I was saying. So I don't know if that's what John's saying I'm wrong on or what. But apparently Jen agrees. So thanks, Jen.
Hey, Jay,
yeah.
Any thoughts of entrance songs for Oklahoma in the SEC?
Somewhat.
What the comment right here? Entrance entering the SEC. What about Hell's Bells? What do you think, Jay?
I like Hell's Bells. I think there's a few I could come up with that are better. I don't know. I welcome to the jungle, Gary says. You could go. I mean, there's a lot you could do. You know what would be cool? I know a lot of people probably hate it. How about an all-black jersey playing back in black one game? I'd be down with an all-black.
That would be awesome. It just
one game.
I don't think that will.
Black jersey, white helmet. Be sick. But I know a lot of traditionalists.
That will ever happen. I mean, it was 2022 was the first anthracite jersey, the Unity uniforms. I mean, I would be shocked if they add something else.
Yeah, and by the way, Crazy Train's pretty good too. Hey, where was I going to get? Oh, John, I never said they're keeping them from making more money. I said if they were to change the portal with where you could only transfer once, it would be limiting the money. That's what I'm saying. So visits will happen this week. They're happening this week, Corinna, according to Patty Gasso last week. And as far as posting about them, good luck. A lot of things are under wraps, but unless you're on maybe a paid site or something, I don't know. What was I going to say? There was something else I was going to get to. There's a few names right there. Kickstart My Heart would get the crowd going. How about Jump? Jump would get the crowd going. Where? Oh, yeah. Pray for Jerm mission trip. Oh, I know what I was going to get to. Pray for him. Though he's in a mission trip right now. Texas, Steve Sarkeesian, Hunter. Let's kind of end with that. If you haven't watched it, go watch his interview with Joel Klatt. I'm gonna paraphrase because I don't have it in front of me, but he basically said that NIL should not be any reason at all until the last of why kids go to your school. Is that not what he said? That's
That
what
was he was. I think the exact wording was, uh, he doesn't want a player choosing to go to Texas because of NIL, which I don't know. I mean, I think in principle that's great, but you look at what Texas is doing. I mean, they've done all those events at the Lamborghini dealerships in Austin. I mean, luxury, luxury, luxury. That's kind of what the sell point is. You look at the collective that they have. I mean, I think NIL plays a massive part in
that's
the
my problem.
recruiting
That's
pitch.
my problem, and I don't have any problem. Like you've heard Venables say, "Hey, culture, a lot of other things are big," but I think you have to admit. I think you've heard Venables say that, "Hey, NIL is a big part of it." I wish more coaches would say that. Like
It seemed almost like a manufactured PR type of
yeah,
deal. Like, because like if you listen to him, it was like, okay, he's starting to get there. Like everything he was saying, I mean,
yeah, I agree.
ideally it makes sense. I mean, I think every coach would want that, but I mean, the simple truth is now, I mean, NIL is a massive part of recruiting. I mean, it is. I mean, even at Texas, as much as he
Hey,
wants to say that it's not, I mean, it is a driving factor in what gets a kid to
hey,
commit to your school or commit somewhere else.
there is no way, in my opinion, that any player of a pretty good status, and I agree, Bobby, not the main reason. Eric, I said that. That's what I said. BB says the same thing. But listen, what I'm saying is this: you cannot tell me that players that go on these visits they don't talk about NIL. That's bogus. They absolutely talk about it quite a bit, I would think. Right?
Oh, it's a
I mean,
talk, and maybe there is some sort of a ground rule that is the actual last discussion, but I kind of don't think that's the case with how. I mean, you have guys driving around Lamborghinis and all the other crazy stuff that they do. Uh, it just I don't know. I
okay,
think it was kind of uh, a bad try to spin the NIL isn't a major part of
Eric,
recruiting.
Eric, like it or not, I was on Texas bandwagon last year and I picked them to be pretty good this year. But at the same time, I'm going to say this: they have to do it again this year, or I'm going to be off the bandwagon because until last year, they hadn't done a whole lot. Let's face facts. Had they not? And BB's the same way. BB has to have a good 2 years coming up. They do. I mean, I'll say it as it is. OU has to have a good 2 years, or OU's not on the up and up. So they both do. I just think Sark had a really good last year. I do think, I do think I picked him to be in the playoff this year, but I do think I'm not sold defensively this year. I'm just not because they did lose a lot. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Hey, Bobby, 100% they talk about it, but a kid picking a school just for NIL would seem for more likely to transfer than a player that falls on. I agree with all that. I agree with that. I don't think NIL can be the number one reason a kid goes to school or he will leave the next year. I agree with that. And
I,
when Sark said that, I
yeah,
agree with it. But there was
yeah,
a part in there, and I have to go back and watch it. But the words he said was basically it shouldn't matter. I'd have to go watch it.
that
But there was
that
something.
was that was the big message. He kind of said exactly what Bobby just
And I agree with that part of it.
Yeah, but it was also the kind of the comment of like he also added in that like at Texas, I don't think NIL should matter. Then he had the whole collective spiel in it all, talking about how great their collective is. I don't know. I thought the whole thing was pretty weird. I thought it was a kind of a weird stance to take, if that makes any sense. Like,
Yeah, and I'll have to
I
go
mean,
rewatch it.
NIL is a part of it. Like, don't try to say that it's not. Like, it is a driving factor in recruiting now, whether you like it or not. It's just there's just no reason to hide it, in my opinion.
Yeah, and mess. BV did beat Sark, but BV needs to beat Sark at the end of the year and have a better record. I think that's when you're gonna put, hey, OU in the next category. So we'll see. I actually think Sark is the best coach that Texas had in a while. I do think he's a good coach. I think he's turning them around. I do. So we'll see though in the next few years. I think the next few years are telling for Oklahoma and Texas in the SEC. It's big time for those two schools, and they got to perform because you get into the SEC as a big dog. You want to be the big dog. I think if you go in there and lay 2 eggs in 2 seasons, it may be a while before you can turn it around, right?
I agree. I mean, both schools really need to have a good first 2 years, like you're saying, to kind of just continue on the momentum that they are building and all of
Hey,
that.
real quick, Eric, I'm going to go rewatch it. We'll hit it up in the Discord tonight. If you're not a Sooner Surge Unlimited member, you need to go sign up. The link is in the description. Sign up for being a member. If you do, you can get on the Discord. We'll talk about this more. I do want to go rewatch it. And yes, they have a ton to offer. Texas should always be a top recruiting school. They have a ton to offer. But I just think there was something in there that rubbed me the wrong way. I need to go make sure I got my facts straight. But it did
Yeah,
rub me the
I
wrong way.
was never saying that they don't have a ton to offer. I mean, they have a great NIL collective.
Yeah.
They have a great NIL program. Kind of just own it. Like it was I didn't like that it's the message was that that's the last thing we want to talk about on the recruiting visit. We want to talk about everything else when I don't think that's actually the way it goes on a Texas recruiting visit. But I haven't been on one, so I couldn't tell you for a fact.
You haven't been on one? Why not?
No, I haven't. I don't know, man.
You weren't a 4-star athlete? Come on,
They
Hunter.
they never started to
What
recruit me.
position
I
did you
don't know why.
play?
Man, it's been years. Defensive line, but yeah, was not a elite recruit where going on recruiting visits every weekend.
What'd you bench, Hunter? Pretty good?
It was pre ninth grade, not even in high school at that point. So I couldn't tell you honestly.
Yeah. And we could have this conversation for a while and about Sark and BV in 3 years and who's a better coach. And we'll save that for another night. So we'll do that. Maybe talk about that tomorrow night. But appreciate you guys so much being on here as always. A lot of news coming this week. I think the recruiting trail's heating up like crazy. The portal and softball is going to be nuts over the next week. So stay tuned. We'll keep you posted, everything we have information-wise, and chat with you guys. Thanks for running the chat tonight, guys. We really appreciate it. And we will talk to you tomorrow night. Have a good night, Boomer.